Hello, Geneva, and welcome to Officially Speaking. I'm your host, Kevin Starr. Each month, we sit down with one of our local elected officials to get the latest on the City Council. Today, we're joined by 3rd Ward Alderman Mary Seno to get her perspective on what's going on right here at the Council chambers. Mary, you just finished your first full year into the City Council. How would you summarize the year 2015 from your perspective?
Well, it's been a really big learning year for me. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I've realized, always being involved in the schools, how great the volunteerism is in the school, and how I really believe that's what the Geneva schools, how they've become so great and so renowned in the area. And that's what I found out about the City of Geneva also. We have so many volunteers, the Mental Health Board, the Historic Preservation, all non-paid positions that meet very often and always have the best interests of the citizens of Geneva at all times. And they come and make presentations to us and let us know what they're doing. Very transparent, very welcoming for us to come to their meetings, which I think is very helpful and just good to know. And they don't mind being called, or they don't mind us coming to their meetings, and I really like that. I also want to mention that Dean Kilberg, my counterpart, has been very helpful to me, and I just can't get over some of the things he does himself. And it's kind of an inspiration to me, and I just want to tell a little story. Recently, we had a gentleman that wasn't happy with the way a piece of park was being mowed, and Dean went over himself with his lawnmower and his rake and did it himself, to the man's satisfaction, and the man came out and thanked him and also actually helped him a little. So that was just a little taste also of what people in Geneva do for each other, and I was really happy to see him do that. I don't even know how to start my lawnmower, let alone put it in a car and haul it over to someone's property. So, and also recently I had car problems, and he offered to loan me his car, so I thought that was great. And he's a great guy, and I just want him to know how grateful I am to him for everything he does for the 3rd Ward. I think we've had a successful year. I think it'd be nice to get the historic preservation issues put to rest and make everybody happy. But other than that, we've got a lot of things coming up. So it's been a great year to learn, and being reelected, not just appointed anymore, is a good feeling also.
Well, let's jump into some of the issues that the City Council has been discussing lately, and one of them has been the air rifle ordinance. It's drawn a great deal of debate from not only members on the City Council, but some of our residents in the community. You've been fairly passionate about the issue. Can you share with our audience what your take on that was?
All right. First of all, what was coming up was we needed to update the concealed carry ordinance to allow for the concealed carry. And within it, they had put this banning of BB guns, paintball guns, airsoft guns, and pellet guns, all of which my 2 fine young men now have had used in their lifetime. I have been a single mother for 16 years, and like I say, I've observed them, helped them, trained them, use those things very safely, and I think it was a good way for them to learn respect for guns. And I'm also not happy about people's first experience with guns being violent video games and using the Uzi to blow someone's head off, or all those Grand Theft Auto things. I just thought it was a nice, healthy 12-year-old boy thing that they did, and they spent countless hours with their friends in the out of doors playing with those airsoft rifles and all those, the ones we just mentioned. And I just think that parents need to be more involved, especially if their children are using those things, and take responsibility for the actions of their children with those. And I just didn't want to take that away from people in Geneva, and I think a lot of people felt that way. I am not a member of the NRA. I'm not a big Second Amendment person, but someday I hope to have grandchildren come to my backyard and set up some pop cans and let them use a BB gun in my backyard, and I hope it's still available, because I did tell the chief when we were talking about it, if it ever does become a problem, I want to know, and I will be the very first one to say we need to ban them. Because if children are taking the orange tips off, if parents aren't monitoring what kids are doing with these guns, then we need to change things. And if the police are having a problem with kids running in the streets, because they do look like real guns. But I just know personally what that part of my kids' life was for them, and the interaction they had with other kids, the rules they followed, no one ever got hurt. I did have an instance once where I actually had my son arrested for something that he did with a BB gun, and so, but that's what a parent does. And that was my point about the whole thing, so.
An issue that the City Council has been tasked with is finding funding for wastewater treatment improvements, and that has been mandated by the EPA. And how is the City Council going to tackle this issue going forward?
Well, one of the things we are working on is it's an unfunded mandate. So we are working on trying to get a low-interest loan from the state of Illinois, and the whole project is a $10 to $12 million project, and it's mandated by the EPA. We have no choice. It's unfunded, and it's mainly to take more of the phosphorus out of the water. And there's not much we can do about it, but get the money to do it. And then also with the rate, the people are using now less water. They're more efficient toilets, and I think a lot of people use less water. I don't think people water their lawns as much anymore, and just more, obviously being more ecological, like we all should be. And so we're not getting the revenue from selling as much water. So we've had to look at other avenues to make the upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant.
And that kind of leads into our next question is, starting in December, the water and sewer rates have increased, and again, I'm assuming that a big portion of that is going to fund some of these mandates that are being asked for, but for the city.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's for the upgrading of the wastewater treatment plant.
Switching to a different topic, the state of Illinois has been having ongoing discussion, to put it politely, about their state budget and how that's going to move forward. Have you been following this issue, and how is this impacting the city of Geneva? Well,
it's very scary for the city of Geneva because, first of all, freezing property taxes would only hurt us. We get $2 million in the LGDF fund, which is Local Government Distributive Fund, and they were talking about instead of only giving us $1 million. So that would affect, you know, our snow plowing, all those services we provide to the city of Geneva. So then, but on Monday, there was another thing that came out, and that was where they released funds from the motor fuel tax, from the 9/11, the 911 funding, that there's a tax on that they get. And then when people order things online, there's a tax on that they collect also. So they've been kind of hanging on to all that, and then finally Monday, that's all been released. So that was a big help also. I think initially, when Governor Rauner got into office and all these things were coming out, it was kind of doom and gloom, but I think every week I feel a little more encouraged, so.
Another change from outside organization that's happening in Geneva is Kane County has decided to stop collecting electronics at our Public Works Department. Mm-hmm. How is that going to have an impact on our community?
Well, there's 2 drop-off centers still in St. Charles. I know there's one right off of East Side Drive for the 3rd Ward people. And I don't think we need 3 recycling drop-offs within a 5-mile radius. So I think it was the right thing to do. It was getting to be labor-intensive for our public works workers. And also they were going to not be giving us the revenue back from the recycled items. So it was just kind of a no-brainer to cut that out and let St. Charles pick it up.
The City Council recently held their strategic planning session, and can you share with our audience a little bit about some of the goals that the City Council has for the future?
Well, what's nice about that we do the strategic plan every year is every week when we meet on Monday nights, we're talking about the day-to-day operations. And the strategic plan day gives us a day to think about the future. 15 years out, what are we thinking? And that's really important. Obviously, we talk a lot about home rule and how we can get there, because that kind of ties our hands about a lot of things that we can do in Geneva. So that comes up a lot, and there's a lot of discussion about that, how we can move forward and possibly get a referendum to have that changed. For me, one of the things that came up this year was a lot of discussion about what's happening at Settlers Hill. And that's really not something I expected the city to do, but me personally, I think I need to be more involved with the county staff that's running that, to let them know that I want to see some progress there, and I want to know what's going on, and I want to know what they're thinking about putting there. I want to see what they've not allowed to be put there, all those things, and kind of was a wake-up call for me to get more involved in the county side of Settlers Hill, because it is in Geneva, and it would affect our tax revenues. I think it's in a great location near the ice arena. I think there's a lot of things that could be there that would be helpful to bring more people to Geneva.
As the calendar has turned to 2016, what New Year's resolutions do you have as an alderman serving for the city of Geneva?
Well, one of the things we need to find more ways of creating revenue for to be able to buy equipment. Not only do I want the workers in the city of Geneva to be safe, but I want them to have safe equipment. You need to work safe and not worry that they're going to fall out of a bucket truck or something. I don't want anybody to get hurt because we have faulty equipment or anything like that. So it's important to me that we come up with ways to improve the equipment that we have. I'd like to see us get this historic preservation ordinance done and hopefully satisfy everybody. And I know the Seetron Property is going to be a hot topic coming up, and another way to make everybody happy with the outcome of what's going to go there is important to me. I don't want to see people move away or be upset or think it's we want it to look nice and people to it be an asset to Geneva and not something that looks ugly or is going to cause traffic problems. So we're trying to make sure all those things work out.
For those not quite familiar with the Seetron property, can you just share with us what is being proposed for that site?
All right, well, the Ace Hardware in Geneva, just to the kind of the northwest of there's a empty piece of property that a firm has purchased. We don't have all the zoning in place for what they'd like to do. I think they're proposing right around a 200-unit apartment complex. And it's a matter of, is it too big, too small? They want it, obviously, they want so many units. We don't want it to be too large and take away from the historic look of the area. So there's going to have to be some different compromises. Hopefully it doesn't get too out of hand, or we don't have to lose the character of that area. It will be, obviously, as you enter Geneva from the west, it'll be something that we want people to recognize and look beautiful and be happy with. So otherwise, I want to wish everybody a great, happy, healthy 2016 and hope all goes well.
That is all the time we have for Officially Speaking today. I'd like to thank Alderman Seno for her time and insight into the City Council.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for having me. And I hope I answered all your questions to the best of my ability. And if anybody ever wants to contact me and get any further information, I'm more than happy to talk or meet with citizens to discuss these topics or any other topics they'd like to talk about.
Very good. We'd also like to thank you for watching. We'll be tuning in next month to get the official word from your City Council.